and welcome back to another very special edition of Rent Money. This is Run It Back Jones. That is Texas Pete. That is the return of Old Chisholm. We have a very special episode today. We're going to do some superlatives of the college football season. One of them may be an in memoriam, and thankfully Old Chisholm was not listed on that one. Overcame a death-defying fever. Old Chisholm, it's good to have you back. And then we're gonna go ahead.
That's all I got.
All right. It's good to have you back, Texas Pete and I. We missed you last week, and then we're gonna do a little recap of the college football playoff landscape as well. For such a special episode, kind of the recap, to tying the bow on the 2024 college football regular season. Today's sponsor is you. You today, the listener, the Rent Money fans, the people out there telling their bookie that we say hi. This episode is for you and you only. We don't need a sponsor to sponsor this episode for this one to get made. We just need you all being there, listening week in, week out. There's nobody we appreciate more than you, the listener. Thanks for joining us on this wonderful season, this wonderful journey we've taken. And we're pretty excited to recap that through this episode today. Golly, it's been a great year. So let's get into it. Woo! Boys, gentlemen, I am just so pumped to hand out some awards today. I really am. But we got to take care of business. We got to do our homework first. And we got to at least quickly walk through the college football playoff and championship weekend. What a day of football. From 11 a.m. all the way to damn near midnight. The big games, the little games, they are all there for us to wrap the season. And now we have the college football championship, the playoff. It's all out in front of us.
Yes, sir. Super stoked. Just to highlight a couple of the games from last weekend, those win and get in games didn't disappoint. They were both fucking awesome. That'd be Clemson, SMU. SMU subsequently knocking Alabama out of the rankings, which is a major shock through the burnerverse of X. And then also the Mountain West game in Boise State and UNLV was a fun one too on Friday.
TP, on this episode, I would be lying if I said we aren't always premature on naming games, whether it's the game of the year or a game like this one where we said win or get in. It turns out it was win or play a close game, and you're both going to get in. I was so stoked to see SMU, as you mentioned, getting in above Bama. The committee listened to the three of us, and those three of us are kind of representative of Alabama's 3 losses. One too many to make it into the college football championship. Old Shiz, did that bring a smile to your face?
It did. It was fun watching that one, mainly just because I had SMU as my dark horse to win the ACC, and so that was just a fun callback to the preseason episode that we did. I feel like maybe next year we try to hit a couple to cover all of the different things because there was so much to unpack there. But just a good day of football. I like everyone who listens to this knows I was out last week. I didn't really have my wits about me until late Friday, early Saturday, and so I was able to be on the mend in time to watch plenty of football. Did I? No. I pretty much slept the entire weekend, so I was catching up on highlights and just looking at stats and whatnot. But as anybody knows, and especially anybody listening to this podcast knows, stats only tell you so much of the story. I'm pumped to hear what you guys saw. The eye test is a very important test.
Shout out Dabo, midfield, 15 seconds after the game over, points over with the camera in front of his face and says, "That's a playoff team. That's a playoff team right there." You just got to love that. He's trying to get Bama out. He's got a little bit of bad taste in his mouth for the Crimson Tide. So that's just awesome. That's where his mind went immediately, was like, hey, let's fuck Bama over here. Like, you got to respect that level.
Especially as a Bama grad. Dabo's still, holding it out against him. Side note, do you think Bama ever talked to Dabo about that job last year, or do you think they just never even discussed it?
Bama grad. I didn't know. That's new information to me, but
There's
I don't think
no
so.
way.
He's comfortable there, dude.
I was gonna say there's no way purely because Dabo is made like that would be like if, hypothetically, Clemson was like the Alabama and Bama was like Clemson. Saban's not gonna go to Clemson. Like he's made his piece, his legacy, cemented himself. And I also think Bama wouldn't want him purely because of his views on the portal. And I feel like that's something Bama would be out on, with them wanting to be very, very contentious and competitive every year.
For sure. I think you guys are right. And you make a good point. I think, Dabo is as big, if not bigger than Clemson football brand, damn near. And he's such an egomaniac. Why would he turn that down, that notoriety, that kind of control over a situation to go to a place that Bama, Bama's even bigger than Saban on some level, right? It's Bama is Bama, and that's a program. Well, real quickly, I'll recap, I guess, my 9 picks, just to be brief about it. Western Kentucky, Hilltoppers, X. UNLV, Boise State took them out. Broncos are running. Tulane, Army. We'll get to Army later on the show, I think. What a magical season for Army. Missed on Iowa State. I went out with a bunch of Iowa State guys. ASU took care of business. Holy shit. They're a fun team to watch. Any real quick thoughts on that Arizona State team? I mean, they're as hot as anybody in the country.
Arizona State lost their leading receiver who had 1,100 yards and like 12 touchdowns or something like that. He was like fucking 40% of their passing game production, and they just didn't skip a beat. I don't know if that was Iowa State's defense just like falling apart in the biggest moments, as they typically do when it comes to these scenarios. Shots fired. But I was also on Iowa State, and it was incredibly disappointing. We weren't in the game the entire time.
Ever.
And just the fact that, like, hey, you had a trip to the college football playoffs on the line. Like, the stakes don't get any bigger than this. And it's against a winnable opponent. You know what I mean? You're not playing Goliath in this one. You're playing Arizona State football, who, as you've heard through all, like, the media this week, was picked to finish last in the Big 12 this season. So it's definitely a task you'd be able to accomplish. I'm sorry for Matt Campbell. He looked like a fucking idiot on the sidelines. And just because I had my money on him, too, just made it even worse. He had hobo penis face syndrome.
Oh boy. Well, I was out for that game with a bunch of Iowa State grads, and we got to the bar at 11 a.m. Ready to go. Unbelievable pizza deal at the High Line. Can't say that enough. This place is a little off the beaten path for us, and I was pretty skeptical about why it was the one pitch to go to. This pizza deal was fucking nuts. Okay, pizza deal made it all worth it. And they also had free arcade games in the back. Call me a child, but free Pop-A-Shot, dude. Free Pac-Man, some of that shit. Nailed that up at halftime. Texas Pete knows, love Pop-A-Shot. I lived with the Pop-A-Shot. The long story short, obviously the game goes like shit. And while they're not Iowa, they always want to be Iowa, right? Win or lose, we booze. And they were probably boozing maybe harder off the loss than they were off the win. From then on out, we had a great day, but I got to be honest, it was more of a side eye on a lot of the other games from that point out. Keeping an eye on them at the bar, but a lot of socializing as well, which gets me to the Georgia and Texas game. Gosh, good game here, but Georgia just kind of did what Georgia did the last time they played. That's how I felt. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that was a Kirby Smart masterclass once again. Like, I don't know what it is with Kirby. Like, Kirby against Bama almost feels not as bad as Ryan Day against Michigan, but like that. I mean, that's his kryptonite. Bama's the only team I feel like that can go out, and I'm confident every time that Bama gets it done. But Sark is a great coach against 99.9% of teams, but Georgia is not that purely because of Kirby. And I feel like if you're going to come into the SEC and do a lot of that cutesy, double fake handoff bullshit when you're on a game-winning drive and then you get sacked and you have to burn a timeout, like that's the fucking SEC. That's the Big Ten. This is not Big 12 football anymore where you get 5 seconds to throw. You get, closer to that 3 and 4 number like you're, playing on Sunday. And I feel like that was ultimately what it came down to for me watching the final drive. Was I was like, why are they doing all of this cutesy rah bullshit? Like, just hike the ball and go through your reads. Your reads should not include 2 fake handoffs before you even look out to the field. And by that time that he did, there was 4 guys there, and that ultimately was what led to it all just being over. But
I would say I would agree with that thought. I'd even say similar like Oregon Penn State, another rematch. And it just felt like Oregon in that game just kind of has Penn State's number too. Like ultimately similar vibes. Would you guys agree with that? Like always kind of had around at arm's distance. Like that, I think both Texas and Penn State at times, if you were a fan, you're like, we can get there. We can get over this hump. So they kind of kept that Heisman pose. They kept him at arm's distance, a stiff arm was away the whole game, and it really never let them ultimately get that chance. Maybe Penn State more than Texas, but
yeah. Also, major curveball in the SEC title game. Gunnar Stockton coming in the second half for Georgia. So I was out for that game, and I was sitting. I live in SEC country, so I was sitting with a couple Georgia guys. And then when Carson Beck was coming off the field and his like shoulder looked all fucked up or whatever it was, my buddies were excited. They're like, "Hey, this kid." The backup quarterback, Gunnar Stockton. I had no idea who he was. All eyes were on Carson Beck all season, but they were excited for him. And did he come out and put up the flashiest numbers in the second half? No, but he picked up some big third downs. He made some big throws. Ultimately threw for 75 yards and like a pick or something like that. But he got the job done. You know what I mean? So that's all you can ask for. And it looks like he's going to be the quarterback going forward for them, at least in this, second round game, with Georgia having the bye here. So just something to keep your eye out on.
For sure. Well, any other real quick thoughts? And I mean, I don't even know if we need to talk too much about the bracket either. I don't know. Anything you guys want to get off your chest about championship weekend? Texas Pete, how did you end up doing on your round robin? How'd that go for you?
I ended up picking 7, or I went fucking 3 and 5, and I chalked up the Sun Belt because I didn't actually put any money on it. So it was a losing weekend for TP, but it's a losing weekend for anyone if you partake in that type of bet.
Yeah, we could make that loser of the week. Round robins might be the dumbest thing of all time. I can't believe they trick you like that. I was so excited about the idea, the prospect of this round robin. But the more you start to look into the underlying numbers, the more you realize, God damn it, you're just telling your bookie hello. You had time too many. We'll get in. I think we'll get into like the actual outlook of this bracket. I mean, we got a lot of time between now and the first game. So let's not blow our load too quickly. What do you say, gentlemen? Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this show. Our college football superlatives. We've had a lot of characters that have graced our screens, our hearts, our minds this year, and this show especially. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a regular to know like the likes of Kyle Honda McCord or Lou Holtz might be people that come up in this conversation today, or the Grayson McCalls. If you're a real rent money head, these are the guys that are probably going to sneak their way into a nomination, maybe not only for the first time, but for a second time as we kind of wrap up this season. Before we start to get into the awards, I don't know. I just got a really warm, fuzzy feeling in my heart right now, boys. Do you feel that with me? Is it the Christmas spirit, or is it just fucking rent money wrapping a bow on this one?
Yeah.
That's all you got to say. Just come on, baby.
Dude, I'm right there with you. Like it's been so fun all year. I know that every single one of us individually at some point has been hammered drunk and just sat and thought about how fun it is to do this. Whether anyone listens or not, whether anyone tails or not, you're out there putting your nuts on the line every single week. And it makes it really fun just because you have that banter week over week and you get to recap and look back. It takes me back weirdly enough to like some of the most fun parts of being a pledge or pledgeship. I think about like Sunday morning, everybody's hungover as shit, and you're all cleaning and recapping what the fuck what happened yesterday. Like you never really want to do that again, right? I don't want to go clean up parties for the rest of my life, but having any excuse to just kind of hang out, sit down, shoot the shit every single week, it's something that I really do cherish. It's been so fun.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if you're a real rent money head tapping into this episode, you're in for a real treat because we're pulling up some names, we're pulling up some stories, we're pulling up what we have coming up for you in the awards is absolutely awesome. If you've been tapping in every single week this year, you're going to be in for a very pleasant surprise. We appreciate you guys. And this is, when we were visiting our production meeting this week, we were just all excited about it. We're all looking forward to it. So it'll be a good one.
Well, hopefully you are too. And, we got a lot of awards to get through. And we're going to start with here, which is one of mine. It's a pretty simple award. It's an award that the people on this podcast, we get behind a fun name. Always have, always will. And so this is General Booty's Best Name Award, and the nominees are, we got General Booty. The award is named after him. He's looking for back-to-back, not only nominations, but wins. General Booty, he started at Oklahoma. You probably know him from those days, but now he's a UL Warhawk, doing his best down there, shaking that booty. Then we got Rocky Beers. This is a guy that went viral in offseason, Rocky Beers. Heard a lot about him, the tight end for FIU. Had an all right season, hauled in a few catches. I'm sure he slammed some beers down there at FIU, did his thing. We got Major Burns, DN for LSU. This guy, I don't know. What do you guys think? To me, he sounds like he could have fought in the Civil War. Major Burns.
Definitely.
Old-timey name for sure. A lot of class, a lot of character in that name.
And then we flip that name. If Major Burns is like your friend, that's the old soul. Speaks very wise. Your parents get their advice from him on how to maybe to raise you. This is like your buddy that just never could. Everybody just knew he had ADD or ADHD or whatever it is. He was just bouncing off the walls. That's Cannon Coffee, a D-back for Kentucky. Major Burns was born to be a DN. The name Cannon Coffee, that guy was born to be a DB. We got Octavius Oxendine. Just reminds me of Key and Peele skit. Octavius Oxendine, D lineman for Kentucky. We got Fat Watts. Name kind of rhymes, but it's a singular to a plural. Fat Watts, wide receiver for Tulane. Great year for Tulane in the American Conference. Couldn't pull it out against Army, but the winner of this year's General Booty's Best Name Award is an O-lineman out of Ohio, Parker Titsworth. Shout out to Parker Titsworth. You are the winner of this year's award. You've done a lot of good things, Parker. The main one is you're worth it, bud. Your tits are worth it. Parker's Titsworth. Shout out to you. Congratulations.
Yeah, you got to give it to him. That jersey would go like triple platinum if they have their last name on it. At fraternity tailgates or college or student tailgates and shit like that.
Holy Titsworth, dude! Unbelievable. His first name's a normal name too. He's just Parker. He's Parker on the front, but he turns around. He's like a mullet. Encapsulated into a person. He's all business in the front, but he's a party in the back with Titsworth.
Less exciting in the name category here goes to our next award, which is going to be surrounding the transfer portal. Everyone knows transfer portal, big hot topic lately in college football, but it's important. You can grab some key position players coming out of there, most notably quarterbacks. So this award is the Excelling in a New Dynamic Workplace Award presented by Deloitte. So our first nominee is Riley Leonard. Also nominated, Will Howard. And our last nominee is Kyle McCord.
Woo!
Honda.
And the winner for the Excelling in a New Dynamic Workplace Award presented by Deloitte goes to Kyle McCord. Congratulations. He's a fan favorite on the pod coming in this year. We love Kyle. Got a lot of talk going throughout the year. Led the FBS in pass yards this season. So this man is excelling in a new dynamic workplace. And we'd like to thank Deloitte for sponsoring this award on the Rent Money Awards.
Let's go, Honda. Honda deserved this award. I mean, holy cow. Can you tell me more about a man that stole my heart this year? You couldn't. We came into the year poking fun at Kyle. We said Honda's coming out, Will Howard's coming in. Who would have thought they were going to end up in the same nominated category? I sure as hell didn't. And look at Kyle Honda McCord now. He's getting the last laugh up there in northern upstate New York. I love this award, Texas P. I like how you put it together because you take these three quarterbacks and it's kind of starting to be a little bit of the Spider-Man meme. You know, these guys could kind of all pass for each other and only one excelled the most, in my opinion. That's Honda McCord. Chisholm, as a Notre Dame guy, how would you feel about, Riley Leonard maybe getting nominated for this one?
I do feel good. Coming in and going 11-1 at Notre Dame, no matter what the schedule is impressive. And the fact that he's been able to do it without really having his best stuff the first half of the year. I would say the first 5 to 6 weeks, he looked terrible passing the ball. He's looked significantly better since then. The fact that he's even in consideration here is truly something that, I'm not taking it for granted.
How could you? I love it. All right, Chisholm, why don't you go ahead and get us on to the next, baby.
All right. Well, there's a special bald-headed man that comes to mind. You might have seen him for the first time on American Idol, or you may have seen him somewhere else if you're a native of wherever he's from. That man is Chris Daughtry, and he signed off on whatever season of American Idol that he was on with a little ditty called Home, in which he announced to the world that he is coming home back to the place where he belongs. And this award is in his honor. This is the Chris Daughtry's I'm Coming Home Award. We have 4 key nominees here. First one being Scott Frost. I know that he hasn't seen much participation in the college football landscape this year, but it was announced he is going back to the place he belongs. That's right. The 2017 or 18 or whatever national champions, University of Central Florida Knights, UCF. He's number 1. Caden Proctor, a name that also definitely hasn't been mentioned as much of late on this podcast. The left tackle for Alabama, who was committed to Iowa and then decommitted to go to Bama and then entered the portal to come back home and commit to Iowa once again, but then realized Iowa was not home anymore. Home it was now in Tuscaloosa for him. He's back to Bama, and to Bama he stays. Caden Proctor, the true sophomore, as our second nominee. Steve Belichick, a name that you probably wouldn't assume to be here, but with his father entering the college football landscape at North Carolina for next year, he's going home to right underneath his father's wing. That's right, folks. Us over here, the 3 wise men at Rent Money, we have a little crystal ball that says Steve's going to wind up over in Chapel Hill here at some point very, very soon, especially based on the way that Washington looked last year. Last, but certainly not least, Marcus Freeman, part of the Ohio State alumni group, going into the playoff with a home game, going in and having championship contending aspirations, and only his 3rd year. That's right, folks. He is going home in his junior year at Notre Dame to contention. That's right. Marcus Freeman is a champ. He's a contender. He's a guy that just likes to get a win. The winner of this award, however, without a doubt, if you've seen anything to do with Rent Money since the beginning, then you'll know this one's well deserved. Scott Frost, everybody. Woo! For the University of Central Florida. Giving it up for Scott really quick.
You know who's not excited about coming home? It's Scott Frost's pasty ass white skin, dude. He is in for a world of hurt. He thought he was on the other side of that. People, skin cancer is not a joke. We just had Movember. December is not Skin Cancer Awareness Month. I think that takes place in June or July, when people are catching their most rays. But Scott Frost, lather up, buddy. Enjoy your time down there in Florida. They missed you. We're glad to see you come home.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. TP, over to you.
Okay. So this is an easy one. It's got some high ticket names on the list here. So it's going to be the Update Your Resume Award. So this is the award for the coaches who are on the hot seat. That's right. I wanted to keep this high ticket so that everyone knew what was kind of going on. And the nomination committee also doubled that sentiment. So I'm glad. So the first nominee for the Update Your Resume Award for the coaches that are about to get canned is Brian Kelly. If he loses another week 1 game, I'm afraid he's going to be out of Baton Rouge. The second nominee is going to be Ryan Day. That's right. The same Ryan Day who has lost to Michigan 4 years running now. This guy cannot win the game. 20-point dogs. It doesn't matter. He can't get the job done. And then lastly, surprise nominee on the list is going out to Kalen DeBoer. His first year down in Tuscaloosa, 3 losses on the season. Just completely unacceptable behavior if you're going to be filling in those big boots that Saban left there. But yeah, so for the winner of the Update Your Resume Award for the coaches that are about to get canned or are on the hot seat goes to Ryan Day, without a question. I mean, I have so many Buckeye fan friends that are already calling for his resignation, even though they're in the playoffs. I mean, they got a bad poll. We're not going to talk about that this week, but I mean, they can still win a national title game, which is crazy. But the standard is the standard, and the standard is you don't lose to Michigan 4 years in a row. It's pretty easy, especially against a really battered up Michigan team that was missing a lot of defensive stars on their side, as we touched on our last few episodes. But everybody give it up for Ryan Day here. Oh. Yeah.
Clap it up. There it is.
Yeah. Thank you. Applause. Seriously. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Are you accepting this award on behalf of Ryan Day?
I am not. I'm just being the presenter. Thank you very much.
Oh, Old Chisholm, we missed you last week, as previously noted. What the fuck, dude? Did you have any thoughts about that Ohio State-Michigan game? I mean, one of our later nominees, I think, on this podcast is a big fan of Ohio State. Was he flipping out?
Yeah. He was at that game with his girlfriend who was a Michigan fan. So, yeah, I don't think he had the best day, but you know, what are you going to do? Mr. Jones, what's your next award that you'd like to run through here?
Yeah, I got one.
All right.
This is, they were ranked what in the preseason award? And our nominees are Michigan at number 9, 6-6 Michigan. Sharon, tough year, loads of talent on the backside of the ball, first round talent. Thank God they beat Ohio State. Definitely had a bit of an afterglow feel anyways, as it was for this team this year. But still, coming in at number 9, being Michigan, 6-6. Great win for against Ohio State, coming off a national championship. That shit can't happen again for them next year. Oklahoma State at number 17. Awful year for Oklahoma State. So bad that Mike Gundy is on the maybe should you update your resume list. People are talking about him being snubbed from our previous award. Not me, but people. Utah at number 12. Obviously, Cam Rising was not rising up. Utah was the prohibitive favorite of the Big 12. Did not look out that way. Utah fans specifically are big losers this year, as they're notorious for being little ghouls and goblins on Twitter, on the message boards, wherever, about how they're better than the Big 12. As you know, a conference, they're too good for the Big 12. Mind you, this is a team that was in the Mountain West less than a decade ago. Where do you guys get off, Utes fans? They're ranked what in the preseason nominee? And then you got Arizona at 21. We thought Fifita and Fuck It McMillan's down there somewhere was going to put it all together. We thought they were going to be fun to watch. Not a bowl-eligible team. Not very good. Those are the nominees, but let me tell you who won this award. The winner of this award this year, without a doubt, is number 10, Florida State Seminoles. quite possibly the worst team in Power 5 football, Power 4 football. God awful. Mike Norvell's rehauling the coaching staff, and the Seminoles are going to get back at it next year. But good God, for a team to be a number 10 preseason to only win 2 games, you might not see that again in your lifetime, folks. So take it in, soak it in, and just give Florida State a big round of applause on being our award winner for they were ranked what in the preseason award?
Hand up. I've talked about it on the pod a few times this season, but I was holding a Florida State ACC championship game ticket. I am so glad that is out of my bet slip finally. I was embarrassed after those first few weeks, especially the first loss against Georgia Tech for the opening game of the season or whatever it was. I thought they had the right formula going where you get an experienced quarterback in the transfer portal, you bring him into a roster that has seen some big game experience. Clearly, I was unbelievably wrong. Florida State 1-7 in conference, 2-10 overall. This team fucking sucked. They were a joke. They were favored in their first 5 games of the season. Couldn't believe it. Rightful winner for that award. That's all.
They say in the SEC it means more. They say, down south it means more. In Florida State, you might be able to kind of group into some of that bunch. But I do think there is, maybe let's call it just a Mendoza line of once you get too far south and the weather's too nice, it's hard to care that much about anything. And I feel that way about Florida sports fans sometimes. And I feel that way about sports fans that live in just areas that have good weather. The shittier the weather it gets in the wintertime, the more they care about those teams that take place in the wintertime. And then they cherish, their summer baseball team, right, a little bit more. And I feel like Florida State fans this year have kind of fallen into that category for me. They were loud and vocal last year when they were left outside of the CFP. Not a lot of words to be said this year, including one fan. I don't think we have a most viral fan nominee, but that was not willing to eat. What was it? Eat his own shit this
Correct.
year?
I think that was it.
Disappointing to say the least.
Yeah. He actually cursed them this season.
Cowardice.
Okay. So I think it's a good transition here. I would like to, very excited for this next award. Doesn't really strike too close to home for me because I'm not a loser, but we have the biggest quitter award for the season. That's right. We have the biggest quitter award. We have 3 nominees. The first is going to be Matthew Saluka, the quarterback for UNLV, who opted out of his team's program after starting 4-0 early in the season, and they were fighting for a playoff spot at the end of the year, but he opted out, so fuck him.
Fuck him.
Next up is going to be Jack Tuttle. Better without him is exactly right. Haj Malik Williams stepping in and just filling it and then some. The next nominee is going to be Jack Tuttle, who was a journeyman quarterback who spent a good chunk of his college career on the bench. He finally gets elevated to the starting quarterback position and then finds out, you know what, this isn't for me, and decided to retire from the game of football when his team and his program and his teammates and his friends and his family needed him most. So he is a quitter for that. And our last nominee for the biggest quitter award for opt-outs this season is going to be Thomas Castellanos out of Boston College. He's a quarterback as well. Bill O'Brien had a good thing going for the BC program earlier this year. They didn't have any insane wins outside of the, beginning of season top 10 win, if you want to call it that, with Florida State week 1. But nonetheless, he opted out. He's looking for some transfer portal money. Hate to see it. So without further ado, I would like to announce the winner for the biggest quitter award. It goes to Frank, our graphics guy. That's right. The graphics man for Rent Money. Absolutely not showing up and doing his job the entire second half of the season. Everybody give it up for Frank. Yeah, I mean, when you needed him most, we promised a couple graphics throughout the season. They never were delivered. We got a lot of comments from our listeners asking where they were, and you can attribute that to Frank. I can tell you we are looking for a new graphics guy for this upcoming playoff run as well as next season. So feel free to send us some of your work,
send
your portfolios, because we are hiring. Frank, you're a quitter. You're an opt-out. You're a loser. Can't say I'm going to miss you, buddy.
Frankie fucks dick. What a guy. Oh my goodness.
God damn it.
You know what? At the end of the day, what really happened here is that we wanted this for Frank more than Frank wanted it for himself. And that's what hurts. I don't know. Chisholm, do you feel hurt?
I don't know if hurt is the right word.
You're not Ed Reed?
No, I'm not hurt, man. I'm hurt.
Yeah. I'm hurt, dog.
That's a throwback. You used to say that every episode, but we'll talk about that another day. I think seeing Frank every day, or whenever I go into the office, he knows. He's not listening to this, and he's never going to see this unless someone specifically sends this clip, because we're clipping this, right? Yeah, that's.
Adam, would you say you could be nominated for the least influential male partner award? As a guy that sees Frank every day, how have you not got him on the horn?
It's like my mom told me on how to rectify my relationship with my late grandfather. You got to just love him for who he is, and not wish he was gonna change so that you could love him to be someone he's not.
I would like to say that our graphics guy Frank, he completely embodies the spirit of Gen Z and the quiet quitting. That was a big topic going around earlier this year. So we were hitting him up in our production group chat. We're like, "Hey Frank, man, we're thinking about getting this graphic posted for this weekend. Can you start developing it, and then we'll let you know our picks, and so you can go ahead and just have it ready, so it's an easy upload." Just crickets from him. Follow up the next day, the same thing. "Hey Frank, where's this graphic, man? We really want to get this posted, so we can put it on the Instagram, put it on the X account." We didn't hear nothing from him. I tried calling him a few times, absolutely didn't pick up. I'm in a couple other group chats with him. He's a good college friend of mine. He's responding in there, no problem, in our fantasy chat. He's vying for a fantasy playoff spot. You couldn't expect anything less from this kid, and he absolutely did.
Oh my God.
So
that is so good.
Congratulations to Frank, our graphics guy, for winning the biggest quitter award for opt-outs.
Oh man. And gosh, Frank, good dude. Not a hard worker.
To know him is to love him. To know him is to love him.
Gosh, what more? I have more even things we could probably say, to be honest. I mean,
yeah.
The first day Frank walked into the building, it was the day the light bulb went off for all of us. Like, we could do this. We could make this happen. We got the graphic designer. People ask me how we're making out, how we're doing from the podcast. I say, yeah, hey, we're doing all right. You hear the sponsors. We get a little promo here, a little perk there.
Yeah. But
there's only one person that's been getting paid this whole time, and that's Frank. We've been giving him the money. We've been giving him the resources. We bought him a Canva subscription. The things that we did to utilize and resource this man, give him the tools he needed to succeed, and a per diem, we let him get one free burger every week from Chili's. And I'm not going to say that was a perk from Chili's or a perk from us to Frank, but it was a perk. And some weeks, quiet quitting aside, he would tell us, "I didn't even get the burger." He said, "Buddy, we get one free burger a week. If you're not going to use it, I want to use it. Why are you just not saying anything?" So these are the things that we had to put up with throughout this season with Frank. So I hope you understand. We still cherish you, Frank. But yeah, we had to not only nominate you but award you with Quitter of the Year.
Prestigious award.
Yeah, that one goes without saying. This is a pretty dumb one, so we can get this one out of the way. There's a film that, without looking off the top of my head, I'm gonna guess came out in the year 1990, and that's called The Hunt for the Red October. And this award goes out to the team that, without checking any statistics, just purely going on memory and vibes. We wanted to award the team that we thought was the hottest in October. Those 4 teams would be listed as Kansas, South Carolina, SMU, and Penn State. The award is going to go to 2 of these teams, as 2 others will be able to celebrate in the college football playoff. That's right, folks. 2 award winners. Congratulations to the universities of Kansas and South Carolina on receiving the Hunt for the Red October Award. Give it up for them. Yeah, TP, anything to say about either of these prestigious schools?
Yeah, so Kansas just got unbelievably hot and shook things up in the Big 12, which is really exciting for us as commenters on the game. I mean, they had a 1-6 record, or a 2-6 record going into the month of October. They rattle off 3 straight ranked wins against Iowa State, BYU, and Colorado. These fuckers just got hot at the right time. If this were a March Madness bracket, with the 64 teams or whatever it is, you wouldn't want to square up with them as the 15 seed or whatever. So rightfully deserved. And then same with South Carolina. They kind of got off to a shaky start earlier in the season. They got hot down the stretch. It's a team you don't want to face. They were, kind of on the bubble for the playoffs. A couple things go their way. Maybe they can find their way in, but ultimately didn't. But yeah, these guys got hot when it matters most, and that's going to be in the month of October.
Got to give it up for them. Got to give it up for the Red October. That's good shit. You have any other awards that you wanted to run through here?
Yeah, so this is actually going to be kind of closer to the game of football. We like to have fun here, but also, we gotta talk shop. So that's going to be the Best Upset / Biggest Surprise Outcome Award. So this is going to be the biggest upsets throughout the season that we have flagged. And the first one that we have here is the Week 9 nominee for Kennesaw State versus Liberty. So Kennesaw State won 27-24. This was Kennesaw State's first FBS win in program history. They were 27.5-point dogs. Big upset. So then our next nominee is going to go to Rivalry Weekend, the one we've kind of alluded to earlier this year, the one that shook a lot of things up for the playoff bracket. That's going to be Rivalry Weekend, Michigan 13, Ohio State 10. Ryan Day put him on the hot seat. Will it? I don't know. Lastly, we have the big upset, which a lot of us thought would knock this team out of playoff contention in the month of August, and that is going to be NIU 16, number 5 overall, Notre Dame 15. That's right. Notre Dame got put in the boneyard earlier this season. They were able to run the table since. That's right. They were able to run the table since. And clearly, they were still able to get in the playoffs. They did everything right. They needed what they needed to do.
Texas Pete, can we real quickly talk about that? I mean, that game alone, before we find out who won or lost, I would just like to talk about that nominee. Because there was a good 3-week, 4-week stretch of the season where Texas Pete and I were so giddy and overjoyed about that win. And at the time, Texas Pete had just been coming out of the pod, making his own bones, per se. And Chisholm just could not have been more frustrated and upset with us as partners. I
felt
on the pod.
Yeah,
tensions got high, but when you have the advantage, you should press it. And as an outspoken Notre Dame hater, I did have the advantage at that time. Clearly, I was the one that was wrong here, but hindsight's always 20/20, so we're not going to get into details here. They got dunked on, Notre Dame, to ultimately a losing program on the season in the MAC. It's pretty much the worst loss out of any college football, out of any playoff team this season, and probably is going to stick that way for the next decade or so.
No doubt.
As a Notre Dame fan, though, Chisholm can make the case, hey, we needed that loss. We wouldn't be the team we are today. And maybe that's
100%. No, like 100%. I mean, when you have every single game being played where it's just all right, backs against the wall, then yeah, that's kind of how it shaped out.
Yeah, no doubt. So the winner for the biggest upset / biggest surprise outcome award goes to Week 6, Vandy 40, number 1 overall, Alabama 35. That's right. We took the goalpost down Broadway and threw them in the river. This was Vandy's first time beating Alabama, and it was just an absolute piss stain on the short legacy that Kalen DeBoer had with the Crimson Tide, an upset none of us were expecting, and ultimately started the spiral for Alabama this season. So everybody, please give it up to Vandy over Alabama for the biggest upset of the year award.
Took the goalposts to Broadway. Maybe the best Broadway, maybe the best location to take a goalpost in college football. Ultimately, those goalposts ended up in a body of water, as they should. It feels like if there was another nominee for coming back home award of the year, it'd be goalposts going into a body of water.
Little did we know. I mean, Vandy actually turned out to be a solid program this year. That's neither here nor there, but still monster upset at the time. None that we were expecting.
Bingo. Yeah, we're gonna run through another fun one here really quick. This is the best college game day guest picker award. There was a few that we were looking forward to choosing from this season, but we narrowed it down to 5, technically 6. But it was 5 pickers. First one being Justin Fields, former starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears and Pittsburgh Steelers. You all know him. You all love him from the time that he pretty much beat Georgia, and then his kicker decided no, he didn't at Ohio State. He had a pretty solid performance, not the most memorable, but worth an honorable mention. One of the more memorable ones due to recency bias, Timothy Chalamet. You know him, you love him, you've seen him in featured films such as Wonka, and there's others
Dune.
that he's in.
Dune.
Yeah, Dune.
Bob Dylan's coming soon.
But dude, Wonka is something else. Timothy Chalamet.
I went and saw Wonka last year with my family around the Christmas season. Great Christmas season movie. Is there one this year that you could say it kind of fits that bill, Cash?
You saw Wonka at Christmas last year? I didn't know it came out on I didn't know it came out around then. I would vote Moana 2 coming out around Thanksgiving. I mean, that's something to be thankful for.
Moana 2 or Moana 2?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Anna. That Pacific Islander vibe is always a little bit more fruitful.
Okay.
But just carrying on here, the next there's actually a duo. You know them, you love them. The city of Pittsburgh relies upon them for their gross GDP. That would be Paul Skeens and Livy Dunn, rookie of the year over in the NL for Paul Skeens and Livy Dunn, just proving that you don't even have to be good at whatever it is that you do. If you're good looking, you can still be one of the most profitable people within your space, within your profession. All you have to do, folks, is just be fun to look at. Up next, Scotty Chef, a couple of green jackets, but the man loves to rep his burnt orange. Man, that was a fun line for me to give to you guys off the top of my head. I just want to say I do, in fact, feel good about that transition and that segue. Not the most beautiful swing, but when it comes to his picks, he did pretty damn good. I want to give some respect and some credit to our guy and friend of Tom Kim, Scotty Scheffler. But last and certainly not least, of course, because this individual is not only from Saugus up in Saugus, Mass, but he also happens to be our game day guest picker award. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Schwarber, the city of Chicago. You know him, you love him. The city of Boston, you wish you had him for longer. The city of Philadelphia, give him that brotherly love. We absolutely love to see it. Could not be happier, for the pride and joy of the back half of my season in 2022 on the Boston Red Sox. Kyle Schwarber, folks, give it up for him.
Whoa.
Hoosier alum, Kyle Schwarber, as well.
Yeah, he's a dog. Simple as that. Love that guy. All right, here we go. Next award, Juiciest Ass.
Johnny Damon.
Hey, Texas Pete, have you seen a fever pitch before?
I can't say I have.
Johnny Damon, you got the sweetest ass in the league.
This is like the third time, or maybe honestly fourth now, that we've brought up Fever Pitch, a Boston Red Sox romantic comedy film on a gambling college football podcast. You're not getting this shit anywhere else, folks.
Fourth or fifth. I mean, almost every episode.
Chisholm was out last week, and Run It Back Jones was trying to quote that movie with me, and it was just falling on deaf ears. I didn't know why he was doing it.
It was
Zimmer, you idiot! What are you batting this bum lead off for?
Oh man, dude! What
good times?
You can sell a sponge, buddy. You can if you're selling enough sponges to get front row season tickets to the Red Sox. Al Waterman, have a sponge.
I'm Al Waterman. I sell sponges. That's one of my favorite burners from back in the day. Red Sox Nation. Some random guy just made an Al Waterman burner account on Twitter. That was a good follow for a bit. I think he might have died though.
All right, juiciest ass. We got the nominees. Desmond Watson. This is a big boy, juicy ass, plays down in Florida. Heaviest man in college football, clocking in around 360. You can't have a juiciest ass list without this guy nominated. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be credible. Next, we got General Booty. More of a quarterback's ass, but with a name like General Booty. And if you're keeping track at home, yes, that's right. Second time he's been nominated today. Also has an award named after him. General Booty's up there with the best of them. Got to give him a shout out. He lives up to the family name. Next, we got Hayden Large, former Iowa fullback. Just wanted to get this guy involved. Hayden Large, we love you. Come home to Iowa City. Coach up the next line of great fullbacks. And the winner of this juiciest ass 2024 award is, can I get a drum roll, Chisholm? Can I get a drum roll? Hailing out of Arizona State, Cam Scatabo.
Woo!
And Cam didn't get the Heisman Award that he was looking for. But he got this one. Call it what you will. Call it what you want. The Rent Money boys salute you. Guy's been in the gym doing his squats, doing his, I don't even know, lunges, the whole gambit. Those are about the only two. Check out my juicy ass sometime. Those are about the only two I got down. But he was doing them all. Shout out to Cam. Not a Heisman, but he is an award winner.
Damn. Yeah, well said, man. Well said.
That was a fun one when we were talking about in the production meeting. It was just immediate. You know what's funny? We were talking about doing superlatives or season awards, and that was the first one that came up. We were looking forward to giving that one out. So shout out to Scatabo there.
Yeah,
phenomenal season for the young man as well. But also, dude's got a donk. He's got a donk.
He has to. Yeah. I want to run through my last one here super quick because TP, I know you got two that are worth going into great detail on. This one not as much, but this one is an ode to one of my favorite party themes that I've ever attended or been a part of. That would be Star Wars and intergalactic whores. A few honorable mentions and runner-ups is the construction theme. Construction theme, getting hammered, getting nailed. That's a good blue collar party theme. Another one was straight up just the TV show Caillou. And then the last. Guy. Yeah, no one likes Caillou, but no one. It's his dad's fault. His dad is definitely a cuck. I think that probably
answers a lot of questions. Actually,
it does. That pretty much does it though, as far as party themes go. But Star Wars and transfer portal whores. That is the name of this award. Because they're going once again out into the intergalactic world of the transfer portal. And in the NIL era, that is no safe place to be. Making his third appearance in the transfer portal. You've seen him at Georgia. You saw him very briefly this season at USC. That would be defensive tackle Bear Alexander, former 5-star recruit. Up next, man that started his career at LSU, then went to Georgia, found himself in Nebraska, and more recently in a vape store just outside of Lincoln, Nebraska. That would be former 5-star tight end Eric Gilbert. We'll see where he ends up here very shortly. Another frequenter within the transfer portal. This man started his career at Oregon, wound up at Tulane, where he did not play after, or maybe he did play. Actually, I didn't watch a ton of Tulane this year. I think he started. Maybe Mensa took over. But Ty Thompson, quarterback. We'll see where he ends up. Could be a fun addition for a number of teams. This man is making, similar to Eric Gilbert, his 4th appearance in the transfer portal. Started his career at Jackson State, wound up at Louisville. This season was at Mississippi State. Next season, investors, possibly you. That's right, folks. Wide receiver Kevin Coleman Jr. But fun fact, he's not the only junior on this list, as we have one more who started at Georgia, went to Florida State, and now he currently attends the University of ? That, folks, would be Marvin Jones Jr., a defensive end. I don't really know.
Marvin Jones Jr.?
Yeah, look him up. Enjoy yourself. Maybe you learned something new today, but also I do not think it is. It could be the son of the wide receiver, but I don't think it is, but
Okay.
It might be. But I just wanted to say that name out
Marvin
there.
Jones Jr.
To spur exactly what just went through your mind. Folks, the winner of this award goes to none other than the NCAA for figuring out how to monetize and get more money out of recruits, switching schools. Give it up for the worst organization in sports.
Holy cow, Chisholm.
We absolutely fucking hate you, NCAA. If anyone from the Rules Regulations Committee, correspondence, any of that shit, if any of you are listening, fuck you. We're going to send Luigi Mangione on your ass. And I actually don't know if I can say that legally. We'll get with our lawyers in the next production meeting about that. But yeah, that's it from me. Thank you.
No, I'm glad you brought this up. It's something I want to talk about. We are entering transfer portal season. The transfer portal is hot right now. And it's already so screwed up because, playoff teams are already inadequately kind of set up to fail in a weird way during portal season. How the hell does the portal open when the biggest thing of college football still is not completed yet? That seems like day one shit. It makes no sense. I'll say this. It feels like the NCAA was kind of like that strict parent growing up. And they maybe have 3 kids. They raised the first one, and maybe it's the second one, pretty strict, pretty upstanding, pretty, they were good kids. They went on to be doctors. They never pushed back. They never, went against the rules. They did a third one. He was the youngest. You didn't even get in that much trouble. You got a demerit once at school, and they lost their fucking minds. And instead of maybe trying to nurture and grow along with this child that's maybe, not as on this beaten straight arrow path as their former children, they just said, let's get rid of all the rules. We're not even going to try and come up with anything, any guidelines, any rail guards at all. It's just going to be a free-for-all. What we're seeing now is just absolutely insanity, where players can basically just put their name in the portal every year for a new contract. We all know these money is getting sponsored by boosters. It's not name, image, likeness like it was kind of pitched by the NCAA, right? Like, oh, they can go do a commercial now. We all know what this is. It's a pay-to-play system, and I'm not against that. Get these guys paid. But we can't have just a wild, wild west. We have to have some rules, some guidelines, something to keep things in order so it's not just absolute insanity year in, year out. It's insane. The NCAA is brutal.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I got one.
Sure.
Best man award. This is the guy you want to be your best man at the wedding. He's, giving you shoulder rubs, giving you back rubs. Right before, I don't know why I'm equating that with being a best man, but in my head, he's like behind you, he's behind you, hyping
Is this
you
the spotter award?
He's kind of behind you, he's like, oh,
Smelling
you got
salts.
this, man.
Paddling the traps real hard.
But with that, oh boy. But, he's also going to give a good speech too. He's going to be a good representation for you. your old aunt's going to walk by and say, oh, that young man was so nice. I talked about you. I got Jay Higgins, man's man, leader of men. Hawk. Bring Roy along, too. Roy can be his +1. Only +1 he's allowed. I need to see Roy out on the dance floor getting Higginized. So Jay Higgins is nominated. We got Coach Prime. Coach Prime's going to give a bona fide best man speech. Coolest guy in the room, but for that day, he's going to make you try and be maybe slightly on his level. I don't think he'd let you get quite as cool as he is. He'd probably tell a story that's a little bit more about him than you, but that's okay. You got Coach Prime up there. We got Lou Holtz. That's just a personal favorite. Feel like your marriage isn't going to fail if Lou Holtz is there giving a speech on your behalf. And without, a little drum roll, not necessary for this one. We'll just get into it. Dan Lanning is not only nominated, but Dan Lanning is the winner. I've seen enough of this guy. He might be the coolest 40-year-old in the world. Man crush Monday if it's a Wednesday. Dan Lanning just has it going on. He's got the charisma. He's got the attitude. But he's also got the ethics and morals that you need to at least hide behind if you're going to be a great college football coach. He's got it all. Dan Lanning just went a whole season where they were basically expected to run the table. If not, maybe lose one game. And they did, and it was pretty nonchalant. So shout out to Dan.
Yeah. I knew Dan Lanning was the fucking man ever since the game day, 5-minute segment that they do. I think I touched on this a couple episodes ago or whatever when they were playing Ohio State, but it was about how his wife was going through cancer treatment and stuff like that. They have, he's got a couple kids, young family, and it also talked about how he worked his way up through college football. So he was starting with some smaller programs before, his notoriety came from Georgia, but he was at Memphis and he was at some other smaller schools like that. So he's dragging his family around for, not a ton of money, being a graduate assistant and then, taking a linebacker's position job type thing. So this guy is just the man. So he's worked his way up. He's at the stardom now, but he never forgets where he came from. So just embodies the spirit of being a best man. He's got $1 million smile on him as well. And I'm really glad to see that he's doing well at Oregon.
Hell yeah. Dan Lanning could be our new guy.
Dan Lanning is the man.
He's the truth.
All right. So this next award goes to one that's hitting close to home for the Rent Money crew. If you're not following our live stream every Wednesday night when we tune in during the season, you should be. We post it on X, so feel free to tap in and join these guys, and maybe you too can be nominated for next season. But we have the Rent Money X live stream reply guy award. That's right. Our comments are open and we are receptive to the feedback. So if you're putting some stuff in there, we're gonna see it. Odds are, I'm monitoring it every single episode. So feel free to tap in. Join the crew. Maybe find your name on this list. So the first nominee for the Rent Money X live stream reply guy award goes to Rick Afters. Rick's always in the chat. He's out there. He's doing great. And then the next nominee is going to be Date Pair Nasty. Date Pair Nasty.
Dat Pair is nasty.
Dat Pair Nasty. Thank you very much. We appreciate the support, even though I butchered your name. The next one up is going to be the next nominee for the Rent Money X live streams reply guy award goes to Tweetaholic15. Tweetaholic15 is always in the comments. He's given us some great questions. He's posting hypotheticals. They're pretty on point too. It's who do you think, what upset is more likely to happen this weekend, X or Y? So it's something we can address in real time too. Lastly, the last nominee for the Rent Money X live stream reply guy award goes to Rocky Balboa. Hell of a name on Twitter or X. Appreciate you supporting.
Huge SpongeBob
love
fan.
having you guys here. But
the
winner for the Rent Money X live stream reply guy award goes to Taekwondo Tugger. That's right. Taekwondo T is always in there. Even on this episode, we got some comments coming in from him. The beauty of it, we have no idea who this guy is. He's just always out here supporting. And that's what we love to see out of our fans. So if we can get that interaction out of, half of you guys, we're going to be in a really good spot. But shout out to Taekwondo Tugger for supporting us throughout this season. Everybody clap it up for Taekwondo T. He is in our comments on this episode. We told him to stay tuned, and he is there. So we appreciate you, Taekwondo T. Looking forward to the support.
Break the wrist, walk away. Break the wrist, walk away.
As simple as that. It really is.
All right, here we go. Similar, award, maybe less prestigious. Most likely to lose their pants on a bet. The very first nominee, and you guys might know this guy, but you might not. Ike Bodiger. Ike Bodiger, someone that's known to lose his pants on a bet. Find your pants, Ike. Number two, nominated anyone betting round robins. Hand up. I'll put my hand up on this one. You're betting red robins. Come on now. And then here we go. Number 3, nominated anyone eating at Red Robin's. Probably going to lose your pants or at least need to loosen your pants. No in between. And the winner of most likely to lose their pants on a bet is the Ohio State lawmakers. That's right. The Ohio State lawmakers lost their pants. Michigan, Ohio State, the game. Holy cow. Never seen a bigger overreaction. You cannot overreact like that unless you lost your pants. So shout out to Ohio State lawmakers. They got to action quicker than I've ever seen people in the government get to work. And we respect that. We appreciate that, everyone. Nobody's planting a flag in this goddamn state.
This is our fucking city.
Is that like go both ways? So like just all flag planting is outlawed. Like even
that's a state's issue.
Okay.
God, that felt good. I mean, there's not a lot of times you can say that and it's genuinely funny, but that time it is a state's issue.
I think to Texas Pete, I don't think. It's one of those things where cops for a long time have turned a blind eye on certain things by certain people. I think it's one of those.
Got it. All right. Shall we go on to the next award? So we got 2 that I would like to save for the latter end there. But before we get there,
I got a super quick one.
I'm going to do this one. You tap in on the next one. So we have the most played out phrase or saying award. So you've heard this just on repeat throughout the pregame shows and, media coverage throughout the college football season. The first one is going to be, I'm bringing my luggage with me, and it's Louis. That is Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes alluding to. He's going to bring his guys in the transfer portal. You better fucking hit it if you're not his guy. He's got his Louis on it. Respect. Get it? I overplayed. I'm so unbelievably sick of hearing it. And it's just even more cringe when you got a talking head that's quoting it on TV as well. Next, we have Pat McAfee singing the Georgia song on game day. No shocker. Georgia is on college football game day 2 to 3 times a season. I've seen it. It was cool the first time. It's a song that's, who's that coming down the track? It's the Mean Machine in red and black. You know what I'm talking about. And the whole crowd chants it back to him here. It was cool the first time. I saw it last weekend for the SEC championship game when game day was there. Wasn't as cool. Got it. Just know when it hits once and don't do it again. And then, so it's a 2 nominee award. So our winner for the most played out phrase / saying award goes to Kurt Cignetti. Google me. A million times we've heard it this season. I mean, it was kind of a fun clip, when he first got hired. All they do was win. Google me. We've heard it a million times on the coverage of the football season this year. So played out. I'm over it. Obviously, Indiana's success only echoed that sentiment. But great for you guys. You guys are doing well. But it's funny initially. Heard it 1,000 times. I'm over it. So shout out to Kurt Cignetti for winning the most played out phrase saying award of the year. And Google me.
It's too damn much. Not only is he saying it now, he's got other coaches trying to like also make jokes off of it, and it's just too damn much.
Yeah,
I'm
Marcus
not
Freeman
necessarily saying it's
had
Cignetti's
to.
fault, but yeah, exactly. So
Like,
Marcus
Marcus-
Freeman commented on it earlier this year, or earlier this week, that is. Their big matchup that we'll be talking about in next week's episode. So be sure to tune in and join the comment section.
All right, we got a quick one. This is a special award because there's only 2 teams that could even be nominated. Team with the best season that last made a bowl game in 2016. We got one of the nominees is New Mexico, and the winner of the team with the best season that last made a bowl game in 2016 is your Nebraska Cornhuskers. Clap it up for Nebraska. It's been a while. Holy shit, Matt Rule, you did it, bud. 6-6. Take a lap. If you want your flowers, you got them, baby. 6-6 Nebraska team is setting records, seeing things that have happened in multiple coaches, multiple tenures. You did it. Good for you, Matt.
Niche award. I mean, it's really tough to find yourself to even be nominated for it. So it's like, hats off to you if you are. I'm not quite sure what the field's going to look like for next season, but I'm excited to see the participants. That's for sure.
100%.
Okay, so we got a big one here. You guys ever heard of the Heisman?
I believe that was a warship in the Battle of 1812.
Naturally, everybody knows that. Thank you very much for our audience at home for learning that little tidbit of information, because you're not real ball knowers like we are. But we got a Rent Money Heisman Award to give out here. So it's not going to quite be the same as the Heisman Field. It's going to be voted upon Saturday, but it's going to be on-field performance. That's absolutely one variable. But then also we're going to throw in a metric there. That's how many times did we talk about them throughout this season? So if you've been tapping into our episodes weekly, there's a couple fan favorites that we have. So the field for the Rent Money Heisman Award is Kyle McCord. We brought him up 1,000 times. Honda McCord. I mean, this guy is going out. Not only did he lead the FBS in production or in passing yards, but also a fan favorite on Rent Money. So, we love the kid. Next up is going to be Cam Ward. So I don't know if you guys saw that Heisman graphic going around that the actual Heisman committee posted or something like that, but it said he had 46,000 yards. That was a total typo, but nonetheless, he balled out this season. Was he stat padding a little bit there in some of those conference games, keeping it close so he'd be able to throw the ball 55 times or whatever it was? Yeah, maybe. Okay. But nonetheless, he had a phenomenal season. I think, obviously, Miami losing in the last week of the season. Was it Boston College, I think? Dropping them out of the rankings, which is pretty disappointing. But I think Miami overall had a phenomenal season. Their defense let them down a little bit, but their offense was just buzzing. I mean, running back Jones was on a bender of just betting Miami's team total over. We talked about it pretty much every week. I think out of the 12 weeks in the regular season, he probably took Miami's team total at least 6 or 7 times. So that was
took the team total about 80% of the time. The 20% of the time, I took the under. They went over.
Yeah. So Miami team total, and by association, Cam Ward. And then we have Tetaroa McMillan, a.k.a. Fuck It McMillan's down there somewhere. It's a classic saying. We got a lot of feedback on you guys. You guys were asking for T-shirts. We reached out to our graphic guy, Frank, to go ahead and get that developed for us. Unfortunately, MIA didn't get a response from him. No surprise. So we weren't able to get that for you guys. But nonetheless, this guy is a beast. He's a wide receiver, is projected to be the first wide receiver off the big board in this upcoming draft. So he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and a name we're probably going to know for, the next handful of seasons at the next level. So Tetaroa McMillan, Fuck It McMillan's down there somewhere. This guy's a baller. But without further ado, this isn't a shadow committee that's predicting the Heisman here. That's right. We're doing it right in front of you. We're doing it live. Fuck it. We're going to do it live. The winner for the Rent Money Heisman this season goes to Nico Iamaleveya. That's right. This is a pro Nico pod. Everybody give it up for Nico. Pro Nico pod. We talked about it all season. Nico, come on the pod, man. We appreciate you. We love you. Not only did you win the Rent Money Heisman this year, but I imagine you're going to be among the Heisman hopefuls this upcoming season next year. This guy's a baller, just doesn't know it yet. The rest of the world doesn't know it yet. Got off to a hot start in his career. Looking to keep that things going. Maybe a little upset coming up here.
When the Vols bring home the championship and we get the exclusive interview with Nico, you'll know why. Pro 100%. Nico pod. It's been great to see our little boy grow up all season into a man. He's taken his lumps. He's always came out the other side with the right thing to say, the right attitude. Shout out to Nico. He makes me want to be a better man.
100%. I'm naming my kid Nico. I already decided. Or if I get another dog, whichever comes first, it's going to be.
You can name your dog Alamalavea, and then your boy to be Nico.
Never a doubt. Rent Money Heisman, the first, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What do you got for us, Chisholm?
I got nothing. I'm out. I'm done.
You're out?
Yeah.
What about you, Texas Pete?
I just got one more that I would like to save for the end. All
right. Well, I think this is an award that at the production meeting, there was a lot of people that we wanted to nominate. I got two. We got two. Okay. All right. Coach most likely to get caught using escort services. Boys, don't do it. That's all I got to say. We're expected to say that here, and we will say that. Don't do it. Don't be like these men that were nominated. We got Billy Napier. Just look at him. All right. We got Bobby Petrino. This guy loves to ride motorcycles. We know that about him from his time at Arkansas. He's an OC now in the SEC. This is a guy that if you're a co-ed 20 years ago, he was going to try and make a move on you. He's a little bit outside of the co-ed area these days. We'll say that. I would say he's not afraid to pick up the phone. Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, he's dating 25-year-olds. It's a red flag. If my grandpappy was dating a 25-year-old, I don't know what I would do. But then again, my grandpappy was Bill Belichick. I wouldn't know what I would do either. So
brand new entrant to the college football scene as well. Thank you.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that? I think this is a good time. He was already actually on this list from our pre-production meeting on Tuesday. And since then, we've heard that he's going to go to UNC. As a guy that at one point rocked the Tar Heel foot on his head with a hat, I'm always rooting for UNC a little bit.
I think it's awesome. It's a great college town. It's a great university that has obviously they're dominant in basketball, but also when you bring in like a legacy head coach in the NFL, Belichick's never coached at the collegiate level. So it'll be interesting to see how he's able to operate. I heard he came in with I heard he came in with his own manifesto of demands that he had.
Big week for manifestos.
400
yeah. Holy
huge
shit.
week for manifestos.
I was just about to say, man, that's there's a few of those flying around right now. I tell you guys what.
Manifestos are huge for college football too. Connor Stallions, man, let them to a championship.
This guy's 72 years old. He's won 6 Super Bowls or whatever it was. Obviously, he proved he can coach at a high level. So, the next step is to be the mayor of your college town. You know what I mean? So, that's essentially your own kingdom. You run that little part of the world. So, I can see it. Am I surprised? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm excited for him. That's an awesome opportunity for the ACC to have kind of shake it up a little bit. I don't know.
Wait, shake it up, Chicago.
Something like that.
Yeah. I think it might be a bit of a mess, but I'm really excited to see what happens. What does Bill Belichick know about coaching college football?
Recruiting, developing.
That's the shit. And he just hired Mike Lombardi to be his CEO of the general management side. I don't know if you guys listen to Bill Simmons. This guy's kind of a frequent on there. He is a knucklehead, an absolute knucklehead. I don't believe in him at all either. But I'm excited to see how Bill tries to connect with college kids at that level. It'll be interesting no matter what. I'm glad he's doing it.
I'm just trying to picture Bill talking to a kid that hasn't attended a class since like 4th grade. And he's trying to talk to this kid about why he didn't do well on like a pop quiz in a lecture he wasn't attending. How will that conversation go? Like,
I don't think Bill Belichick gives 2 fucks about that. I don't think he gives 2 shits.
I know for a fact that he does it. Aaron Hernandez was drafted by him. Gronk was the other guy. Like, he obviously doesn't need guys that have brain cells in order to succeed on a football field. He just needs one with a lot.
You know, I heard that the student body of UNC actually rejoiced when they heard that Bill's coming back. He's going to be the head coach. Not because they were excited about the football aspect, because they were excited that they were going to start enrolling them in a bunch of fake classes again. The fake classes at UNC, they're coming back. They're all getting enrolled. Everybody's fired up on campus. We'll have to keep an eye out for that because there could be another class scandal coming soon.
Would that be the greatest job in the world? Is to be a professor for a fake class that all of the athletes take? Like, you're actually just some guy, but the university shells out $40K so that they can get away with like giving A's to their kids. Like, that's a pretty cheap investment for a GPA boost.
Gosh, I mean, there's some pretty goofy classes that I feel like I found myself in without even looking for the fake classes.
Well, you're an
I can only imagine, you know.
Me too.
Well, hey, those are the nominees. You got Bobby Petrino, Bill Belichick, Billy Napier, but there's only one winner. And this guy, he was the head coach of the team with the most rat lines in college football. That's Hugh Freeze for the Auburn Tigers. Coach most likely to get caught using escort services. He was a heavy favorite coming into the year, and he walked out the winner. He did not disappoint.
Fuck you, Hugh Freeze. God, I can't stand you. But also, Hugh, we will still clap it up. It's tough. It's tough not to hate. Like, it's tough not to hate Hugh Freeze. This is a guy that's like literally got handed the keys to the Ferrari, keys to the kingdom at Ole Miss after being at Liberty. And what does he do? He grabs burner phones and escort cell numbers more than 5-star prospects. Never a good sign. It's a great way for Ole Miss to miss out. They got like a 2-year probation sentencing for it. And what does he do? He goes to another team in the same conference, and he starts pulling in recruiting classes like nobody's business. This is as close as we're going to get to what if SMU was allowed to do the same shit that they did in the 80s as they are now,
Pony
with an upper leg on everybody else in terms of being like a little more experienced at this. You know, you give a couple of hand jobs, I'm sure you're going to be better at, you know, giving them in the future. That's exactly where Ole Miss and Hugh Freeze were. That's where Auburn is at now. There is no reason why Auburn should have a single 5-star, but they have like 2, maybe 3. And then they have a bunch of 4-stars right behind. I don't know how he's doing it, but tip of the cap to Hugh Freeze. He obviously is good on the phones.
National championship program. Good on the phones. Caps works these ones. Speaking of Caps, you want to take us into our last award before our, I would call it more than award, recognition, our last recognition.
Folks, this is a segment that I believe I'm on the right one of. Correct me if I'm wrong here. False, I see you hovering.
It's college quarterbacks.
Oh, then no, I was going to say the wrong one for sure. I'm pretty sure.
Well, go with what you got. Go with what you got.
I don't know what you're looking at. Oh, I see it now. It's highlighted wrong. Sorry, messed that one up in the production meeting, folks. Folks, we touched on this a couple of weeks ago. This one presented by Blue Chew, the horniest college quarterback award. You've seen them on your TikTok pages. If you're unlucky enough, you might see them in your Snapchat messages. These are all quarterbacks that have seen quite a bit of time in the spotlight, but are still somehow, some way finding their ways on here. Honorable mention from in years past. I don't know if it was last season or a year before, but KJ Jefferson, former Arkansas quarterback, current UCF quarterback. If anybody remembers some of the screenshots of his Snapchats, then these aren't that strange. But if this is your first time seeing just how bricked up a kid can get when he's not under center, here you go. First and foremost, we want to give a shout out to Shedeur Sanders. This kid is horny for not just the spotlight, but also, for women. Marcel Reed, another fun name, newcomer to the college football landscape this year over at Texas A&M. We all appreciated him more than we'd like to say for not ever having to hear Connor Weigman talk again. I don't know if anybody else saw
breaking moves.
What's the breaking moves?
Weigman's going to Houston.
No.
As of this episode.
Oh my God. Let's go. All right. I might be back on the Weigman bandwagon. I was never on it. But Marcel Reed, newcomer, also very bricked up. Austin, Texas native, making his way back home for a quote unquote away game. I guess you could have put him in the coming home segment. But we're going to put him here because, boys, he bricked up. Cade Klubnik over at Clemson. But the winner, without a doubt, his relationship is all over social media, and so are a number of his Snapchat messages. Carson Beck, the quarterback for the University of Georgia Bulldogs. You are the horniest college quarterback. Give it up.
I got to give it up for Carson. He's probably out there asking, how did I win this award? What did I do that's that different? It might not be that different. Maybe there are hornier quarterbacks out there. But Carson, your digital footprint outlasted and outbeat everybody else's. There's a lot of contenders throughout the season, a lot of people down. And the SEC primarily that we were getting excited about. But just when you thought that Carson Beck was maybe losing ground, right, on his competition, it was, another
one.
Yeah, there we go.
And another one came out. I saw a full tweet that was just 4 straight screenshots of him with the text over his face. If you tune back to a couple weeks ago episode, we actually have Rent Money's own Running-Back Jones. He read the transcript of one of the messages. It's an absolute beaut. I highly recommend going back and revisiting it if you're looking for a good laugh.
I mean, these guys gave us good laughs all year. I mean, these are the storylines, the plots, you get out of college football that you just don't get in the NFL. When it's in the NFL, it's a little bit more sinister. It always is. These guys are 36, 38. Usually when shit goes wrong, shit goes south, we'll say. Brett Favre, New York Jets is what I think of. These are just 18 to 22-year-olds living on college campuses. It's a little bit of a different dynamic, and it's pretty humorous. And I think that all the guys that nominated, all the QBs out there, just keep doing your thing.
How can you not be romantic about baseball?
Impossible.
What did it feel like? Speaking of the Fenway grass.
Was it spongy? Yeah, I'm back.
All right, Mr. Jones, why don't you take it to our last award of the season?
Dare I say, take it to the limit.
The rest of these teams are playing by the rules. Well, hey, this is an important award to us. The beginning of this episode, we said thanks to you all. Forget the sponsors; we wouldn't do it with that, and we do it for you. Well, that is true. But let's not forget the sponsors either. So the best sponsor of the year award, we got a handful. Chisholm, Texas Pete. Let me know if I'm missing any. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, Dude Wipes, Movember, Hidsips, Vienna Beef, Chili's, Fireball, Mountain Dew Swirl, and others that I'm sure we're forgetting now. Even former ones, AAA. You guys get a shout out. All those that are supporting us and have helped us get to where we are at. We appreciate all of you and what you've done to help support this program, your belief in us. And the winner is Texas Pete. Open that card.
All of the sponsors are the winner. We appreciate you guys so much for supporting this season.
Come on!
Could not have this show without you guys. We appreciate you. The free sample, the boxes of merch you're sending us, the products you guys are sending us. We're not just shows, right? We're doing this because we believe in each and every single one of these products. We use them in our daily lives, and we look forward to using them in our lives as well. Hope you keep on supporting, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. We've covered a lot of topics this week. This isn't the closing segment quite yet, but it isn't an award show unless you have this piece right at the end. That's right. This is the In Memoriam segment, and we are doing In Memoriam of the 2024 college football season. This is something that's near and dear to all of our hearts. That's right. That's the dramatic chime coming in there. We have a handful of guys we would like to highlight here. Everyone that's important to college football, and we may have lost them throughout the way. The first one we would like to give a shout out to is Mack Brown. That's right. National champion Mack Brown with Texas. He's retired earlier in the season. He unretired. He was back, and then he ultimately got fired. Mack Brown, we're going to miss you. The game's going to miss you. You should have left probably about 10 years ago. That's all right. But yeah. The next one we'd like to give a shout out to is going to be...
Nothing's worse, dude. If somebody was giving me my in memoriam and hit me with a "but yeah" before moving on, I would be so pissed.
I ran out of stuff to say about the man.
But yeah,
polish off my eulogy with yeah.
So yeah. Moving on here. We have a notable man we've talked about several times throughout this year, and that is going to be Cam Rising. He's going on his 8th year of college football, but that is not going to be with the Utah Utes. That's right. This guy has been medically cleared for another season once again. Cam Rising, can't say I'm going to miss you. You had a flash in the pan that was fun for, I guess, back in 2021 a little bit. But needless to say, that's it for you, bud.
Holy shit, dude. You're a memorial. Cam, I'll miss you, dude. We've had a lot of good times. You always gave me the vibe.
Cam. I'm a Cam Rising hater. That's all right. Nonetheless.
I like Cam Rising.
Yeah.
What I'll say about Cam is that he always gave me the vibe that he could be an extra in Yellowstone if somebody needed to go and get their chakra filled out. I always got that vibe from Cam Rising, and I always really liked it. I thought it was a good time. Saw him for a lot of years. He came into the same class as Trevor Lawrence, if you can believe that. And he's gone. As much as we did our Heisman campaign, this year, we might have said Cam Rising's name as many times as a lot of those rent money campaign getters. Good, bad, the ugly. I will miss Cam Rising, and rest in peace.
Reciprocity,
no doubt. Our next in memoriam is going to go to planting flags at midfield in Ohio. We alluded to it earlier this episode, but it might be illegal come this time next year. So something to keep an eye out for. Glad that Michigan was able to get theirs while they were in town a couple of weeks ago. But something we're probably not going to see going forward.
Unfortunate.
Next here, we also have a rent money Heisman hopeful from previous seasons. That is going to be Grayson McCall. That's right. Medically retired earlier this season. Sad to see you go, Grayson. Coastal Carolina to NC State. This guy's able to put up numbies in his prime, but unfortunately, medically retiring to end his career. It's sad to see any of the pod's favorite players, end their careers. But Grayson, we will miss you. This is one person on the list that I will be missing. Do you guys have any words you'd like to give for Grayson McCall? I know you guys are a little bit closer to him during your previous seasons of Rent Money.
This Grayson McCall to me is like if old Chisholm had a really near and dear cousin that he put me on to. No, Chisholm, your love for Grayson McCall always spoke through the phone to me. And I'd say my love stems from your kinship to him.
Yeah, I think Grayson McCall sounds like a name that should have been in Outer Banks, and it wasn't. And we're never going to get that back. We're never going to live that down. What did we get instead? Somebody named Rafe. Please don't touch my Raff. But if we're talking Rafe, fuck you. I don't care. That's all I have to say about that, because it took away more time that I could have had with Grayson McCall. I'll think about and miss him. He's gonna be like,
God, he's gonna be the one that got away.
So he's top three.
He was a fucking kid.
He's top 3 ones that got away.
But he didn't just get away, dude. He retired.
It's like him. Is it Trevone Boykin? Is that how you say his name?
Tavon Austin.
No, he's not a quarterback, but he can get in the list too because he's there. I was gonna say I can't say Taylor Martinez, but I spent a lot of time watching Taylor Martinez run the read option at Nebraska. It was like the first time I'd seen it like popularized, and
that guy.
Oh my God, I couldn't stand him, but I also loved him. It was him and then Tommy Armstrong. Right, Tommy Armstrong is Jalen Milroe, just 10, 15 years early.
Chisholm, correct me if I'm wrong, but around the age of like 11 or 12, you just have like the coolest little Huskers starter jacket.
Yeah, I was a big Huskers guy.
You had this nice little puffy little starter jacket meant for little kids. It was really cute. But
I got a Reebok one. I got a Reebok one for the Steelers now. It's a nice vintage. But yeah, I hated Iowa for the longest time. I couldn't stand
I did too growing up. I mean, how could you?
we're all just like, fuck them, I'll do it live.
So yeah. Grace McCall, gonna miss you, man. Last here we have for the in memoriam. They always save the best for last, and it gets the standing ovation here. This one is actually near and dear to a lot of our hearts. Not only myself and my co-hosts on Rent Money, but also, my girlfriend was really hit hard by this segment when the news broke. But that is going to be College Game Day's own Ben Herbstreit. That's right, the golden retriever that traveled with Kirk everywhere. He was in many production booths from the games that you listened to, on game day and then Thursday Night Football as well. But Ben Herbstreit unfortunately passed from, I believe, he had a disease, cancer, I believe. It's just really unfortunate. Real tearjerker of a segment too when that news broke. Shout out to Kirk. He was able to battle through it. Losing a dog or anyone in your family is never easy. But then, going on live TV and having to, broadcast 3 days afterwards, it just totally breaks your heart, man. And, we're really sad to see Ben is no longer with us. So this would be the closing slide on our in memoriam segment for the Rent Money Awards this year. It is the actual true in memoriam.
Damn. Rest in peace.
Dogs go to heaven, baby.
Very, very, very sad. 100%. But that's all we had here for the closing segment. So if you guys have any other comments, feel free to chime in now. Otherwise, I'm going to send it over to our old friend, Old Chisholm.
Folks, it's been a good season. It's been a long season.
The longest.
I also do want to say that we didn't technically do, and I wanted to end on this because we didn't technically do a freshman of the year, but a few that we could name: Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams. I love freshmen.
People.
Yeah, I do. Birth makes death beautiful, and vice versa. Dylan Stewart, who else? DJ Lagway, we had a lot of fun with. But there's one winner that I have here for the college football 2024-2025 campaigns. Freshman, aka newcomer of the year. Folks, that's right. It goes to none other than the University of Iowa's own Texas Pete. Give it up for him. First year on the pod. He's bashful.
Prepared for this. Oh.
He's bashful, but TP is the only member of the Rent Money 3-man weave to receive an award. I will actually yield my closing statements, my closing time, and I will give it all back to you, buddy. Why don't you wrap us up here on this first year?
We didn't talk about this in the production meeting, so this is off the cuff here. But I just would like to say, Run It Back Jones, Old Chisholm, two very good friends of mine, throughout my adolescent years, and then, coming into my young adult life here, into my not so young adult life anymore. Joining this podcast with them has been an absolute treat. Being able to come in, talk a little shop, talk a little ball weekly. It's definitely a highlight of my week. But I couldn't do this without all of them. We said this last week when Chisholm was out, battling life and death sickness that he had. But this episode, or this podcast, is truly a 3-man weave. These two here wouldn't be up here without them. If it wasn't for their support inviting me on this season, obviously I couldn't win this award, but appreciate you guys a ton. It means the world to me. This one really shocked me too. We didn't discuss this beforehand, but I love you guys a ton. Appreciate it.
Man. Love you guys as well. You never know the last time you're going to do a 3-man weave. I think we weren't the only people to realize that last week with Old Chisholm out, but it definitely hit a little closer to home than maybe it could have. So love you boys. Love the listeners. Let's finish the season strong. College football playoffs, only more to come.
That's right.
Only more to come. And we got a lot of travel upcoming here. We'll let you guys know on a few things as far as scheduling, if it makes sense. But for sure, want to get the word out here very quickly about none other than Old
we need
Chisholm's.
to make a whole separate clip for this. I should have done this in the intro. Chisholm, tell us about it. This is huge.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know where you were laughing at my burp or the...
I was laughing at myself.
Hey, fun fact. College bowl season means Rent Money Pick'em is back. ATS against the spread. If you nasty, we bring it every single year. Some years better than others, but this will be our third year now of hosting a pool. Ideally, we can have a paid section as well for those of you who aren't scumbags. We'll get to work on that here shortly after this. It will be released tomorrow, December the 12th, by 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. I have it marked down on my calendar to get that released on the Twitter account. But
I mean, come on. This is one of our best things we do. We love it. Nothing better than signing up for this, getting lost in the sauce that is bowl season, and then coming back to it. You pick them, you set them, you forget them, and then you get fired up about them, especially during the playoffs this year. It's going to be more of a bracket focus than ever before. It's absolutely changing the game in terms of bowl season pick'ems because we're going to have a whole damn bracket to choose from to make your selections. It's kind of like March Madness, but now we're going to get it during the darkest, longest days of the year. There's nothing more exciting than bowl pick'em. Yeah, sure, bowls aren't at what they used to be. Forget about it. We're going to have a lot of fun. This is going to get you invested again. Get excited.
Get excited. And last, but certainly not least, folks, a lot of folks nowadays, I know, have unlimited data, unlimited texting. And if you don't, all I want to say is make sure you set aside a little bit of that data, of that texting. Make sure that you have some money set aside for gifts, right? But then with a few of those calls or those minutes that you might have left over, why don't you give a call to your bookie for us over here at the Rent Money for all the work that we've put in throughout this season. And why don't you tell your bookie that we say hi? Cheers.
Woo.